This is Joe Boy with WJHM 102jams.com, recording Confessions with Brian T. Bethea. Starting in 5, 4, 3.
Peace, everybody. Confessions. Peace, everybody. Confessions. Peace, everybody. Confessions. You are listening to Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on 102 Jams. What the deal, family? Again, welcome back to another episode of Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM102jams.com. And of course, we got another special guest coming for an interview. And of course, she is got a lot of surprising and announcement to make. So I'm gonna let her make it personally. So we are interviewing LaShonda L.J. Holloway. That is LaShonda L.J. Holloway, and we're gonna be interviewing her, getting know what she has going on and whatnot. So definitely, family, stay tuned with Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM 102jams.com. We'll be back, y'all. Peace.
Our mission at P&P Cleaning Services is simple: to provide high-quality service in a timely manner. Our team caters to each project's specific needs to ensure excellence. We specialize in commercial cleaning, COVID fumigation, janitorial cleaning services, move-in out-of-business cleaning, medical office space cleaning, and so much more. For more information and rates, give us a call at 321-356-0203 for all your cleaning needs.
All you dolls out there, this is me, Sizzle. 2019 flew by and my friend still did not have the body she wanted. Then I discovered the solution. The cosmetic surgery place. Yes, cosmetic surgery. Don't spend another minute miserable. Call 407-636-5000. She did. Now my friend is all of that and then some.
Be one of the next 7 callers to receive your breast surgery. Free with a tummy tuck. Yes, free. Call now at 407-636-5000. Are you frustrated with your computer? Tired of waiting for the computer to let you get your work done? Having an IT professional available when you need him can be invaluable to your business. With a Your Computer Solutions monthly service plan, you can enjoy error-free computing and get your tasks done when you want them done. Got a virus or malware warning? Call YCS and let them remotely solve the issue for you. Computer running slow? Give YCS a call and they will remotely fix it. When? Well, right away. On average, our clients are back up and running within 10 minutes of their call. If you want your computer to run smoothly month after month, just get the Your Computer Solutions monthly service plan. Your Computer Solutions is there when you need them. Call us today at 407-826-0810. I repeat, 407-826-0810. Emergency repair when you need it. Call us, 407-826-0810.
All right, family, and again, we're back with Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM102jams.com. And, of course, as I stated, we have a very special guest on the line, and, of course, she has an announcement that she would like to make. So, Confessions family, please welcome LaShonda L.J. Holloway. What's happening?
Oh, a whole lot is happening, Brian. I'm sure, unless you've been under a rock, you understand that there's a lot going on in the political sphere. And I am here to let you and all of the listeners know that LaShonda L.J. Holloway is declaring her candidacy to represent the people of the 5th Congressional District.
Amen, amen. And, of course, family, we want to make sure that's the 5th Congressional District in Florida, and that she is running for. So definitely, definitely go out and vote for her. And let's go ahead and get started. So the first question definitely wanted to ask you is, what do you want to do in Congress?
Well, first of all, one of the main things I want to do, and I should first preface this statement by saying I worked on Capitol Hill and I have run for Congress before. And what we see in America is a lot of vitriol and a lot of Americans who are upset with the state of politics right now. And so one of the first things I want to do is make sure that I engage the people. Too many times, we see legislators who are making laws and they don't consider the people. They're considering special interests. They're not looking out for what's in the best interest of the people, but they're looking out for what's in the best interest of the lobbyists or, unfortunately, their donors. And so that's one of the first things I want to make sure I do is incline my ear to hear and have a strong constituency office so that we can get the pulse of the people and truly serve the people. I worked for a member of Congress who died just last year, and that was one of the things, I always, respected about her is that she would fly back and forth to Miami to hear the pulse of the people. And so what I would do is I would fight for better health care for Americans. We know that we're in the middle of a pandemic and we see what that looks like. So a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people can't afford health care. So thank God that people can go and get tested if they choose to get tested. But there are a lot of families who are suffering right now. I did a diaper drive just last month, and there were people in line before we even, started the diaper drive because diapers are so expensive. We know that, while inflation is going up, wages have not gone up. So I certainly would be fighting for a fair, livable wage. More importantly, I just talked with someone just today who said that their landlord sold their house. They're going to have to try and find some place to live, but everywhere they've gone to look, they can't afford to move in. So certainly I would be fighting for affordable housing, not to mention in Florida where we don't have Medicaid expansion, or for those seniors who retired, they need Social Security expansion. More importantly, that we just saw what happened in Minneapolis. We need criminal justice reform. We also need gun sense legislation, but more importantly, we need climate action. So those are just a few of the things I'd be fighting for in Congress. That's what I would do if I were elected to Congress.
Right. And we're going to say when you're elected to Congress. That's what I would like to say.
That's right.
And definitely, even, you mentioned a lot of great points that I really wanted to pick up on. I know one of them being inflation or what have you. And yes, and I know it's been a while since I've had a newborn baby myself, but the price of a pack of diapers is astronomical these days. Like what exactly can be done to help stop inflation from happening, or is there something that that can be done?
Well, I mean, one of the things is you can pay people a fair living wage. I mean, think about it. People are lobbying now for $15 an hour, but $15 an hour is unfortunately not enough. $15 an hour at 40 hours a week, that is only $600. That's $600. Wait a minute, is my mouth right? Yeah, that's $600, but we haven't taken out any taxes, right? And if you just did simple math and assuming arguendo if there were no taxes, but in this country, there are taxes, right? So $600 times 4 weeks in a month, that's $2,400. So if someone has to pay rent of $1,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood that's not safe, that leaves them with, you do the math, that leaves them with $900. You have gas, heaven forbid they have a child and have to pay diapers. What about a clothing allowance? What about eating? What about utilities? So, I mean, look, we haven't added in a car payment. We haven't added in any other thing, right?
Right.
So we can start with a fair living wage. If the prices are going up, wages need to go up.
It's funny you say that. That reminds me of a Cat Williams joke when he says something about gas and eating. He said gas prices were so high, and he's sitting there making life decisions like, did I eat today? And, people really can't make life decisions. And I was in that, being transparent, I've been in that, kind of that state, kind of a little bit lately or what have you, because it's like everything costs so much. It seems like I can't afford to go grocery shopping because, even a gallon of milk costs like $5 and change. And, you're only going food shopping for just a few things. And, you go to your local supermarket, and they're getting like 5 or 6, 7 things, and you're spending like $45, $50 just for like a couple of bags of chips and a gallon of milk and some other things. And so I think I think I'm with you on that. Something does need to be done. Quick question before I move on to the questions I have written down. What can be done though for let's say like if we raise the wages or what have you? What about those people who own a small business or what have you and may or may not be able to pay those rising wages? Is there something we can do to assist them with being able to afford to pay an employee a more affordable wage?
Absolutely. Just like we give corporate welfare. Look, as a middle class person, I pay more in taxes than Jeff Bezos, who is a billionaire, right? So why don't we let the rich pay their fair share and give. Look, small businesses are the heartbeat of America. I am an entrepreneur. Look, I've owned businesses and I understand that. So that's what I'm saying. Why don't we give a tax credit or give a small business credit for those small businesses just to stay afloat? That's what the stimulus was. You have counties in the state of Florida that have funds from the American Rescue Plan that are just sitting there that are not getting to small business owners. But you have places like Ruth Chris who got millions. So why wouldn't we give some of that American Rescue Plan money to small businesses or make corporations pay their fair, or make billionaires pay their fair share? We give tax cuts to the rich, and we overtax the poor.
Right. Why is something like that being allowed to happen where the small business owner can't get the money and the funds that they need?
And it happens because the government is only as strong as the people. And the average person is trying to survive. The average person is not that engaged. One, most people don't trust their representative or don't know who their representative is.
Right.
If I would, caution you to ask 9 out of 10 people who their representatives are, from something as small as their school board representative, which is local, on up to Congress, and the average American just does not know. We are gainfully employed, and that we have a roof over our head, and that we are healthy, and that we are prepared for retirement, right?
Absolutely.
If we have children, we want the same things. We want our children to have the same things, but better. We want every generation to be better. And unfortunately, this is probably the first generation that won't be able to afford to buy a home.
Wow.
If you have college debt,
exactly.
And with the prices, of a home, the average college graduate can't afford a home.
Exactly, and you're definitely speaking to me for sure, because I'm in that situation. And for instance, for everybody listening, to give an example of what she's saying, I'm still liable for my college debt, my college loans that I from when I graduated from Hampton back in the early 2000s or what have you. And when I called to see how much my payment would be, they're like $480 something a month. I'm like, I can't afford to pay that, right now. So, speaking of which, I want to come back. I was going to ask you something, but I want to come back to that, or what I was going to ask you. Let me just ask you this then. What gives you the passion or to fight so hard?
Well, one, I'm an American, I'm human, and I am civically engaged. I have been civically engaged all my life. At the age of 15, I received the Foot Soldier for Justice Award from the SCLC, and SCLC is Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which was founded by Dr. Martin Luther King. I received that award at age 15, and I remember when Dr. Lowry gave me that award, he said, "Young lady, we who believe in freedom cannot rest." And so it pains me to see working class people not be able to buy diapers. It pains me to know that, someone who is as bright as you cannot afford to buy a home, and here it is, you work more than one job and you're very talented, but look, you should have You should have the freedom to buy a home. You deserve affordable housing.
Right, and I will say this: living in Florida, Florida is exactly what you said, where the wages are not rising along with the rising cost of how to buy a home or what have you. And my wife and I, for example, have been looking for a home to move into, but there's nothing affordable. And
and it's not just Florida; it's all over the country. You hear it. You hear the same song. I mean, it's inflation, so it's happening all over the country. It's just you're in Florida and you see it in Florida, but it's happening all over the country. You see rising, healthcare, rising housing costs, and for those seniors who retired, they are not secure. And if you have worked, all of your life and paid into Social Security, you deserve to be secure. You should not have to decide between a meal or a pill. I mean, if your health starts to decline, you should not have to make a decision between a meal or a pill. More importantly, the average middle-class family can no longer afford to send their child to college. So we need more programs, for technology training. Everybody is, especially during this pandemic, more people are more connected digitally, right. And there is still a digital divide. But also, you've seen it when people's devices no longer work, they go into crisis because everything is digital.
They do. I'm a little bit more old school because I know how to do. We're a little bit more old school, so I know we still know like the brick and mortar, of some stuff. And sometimes I have to remind myself, because when I feel like I'm spending too much time on my devices, I'm like, well, wait a minute. I remember what life was like before cell phones and tablets or what have you. Like I know how to do certain things, so. I definitely understand where you're coming from, but listen.
But in a lot of places, that's not even an option.
Exactly.
Case in point, I went to some places this past weekend. I was in another city.
Hold on real quick, because we got to go to commercial break. I want you, if you can remember that point, we want to pick right back up from when you were leaving, okay? All right. So, family, you're listening to Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM102jams.com. We will be right back after these messages with LaShonda L.J. Holloway. All right, we'll be right back, family, after these messages. Got to go to commercial break. All right, peace.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties. Contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousegfl.org. Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad. My computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810.
All right, family, and again, we're back with Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM102jams.com. And, of course, we're back with LaShonda L.J. Holloway, who has just announced she's running for the 5th Congressional District in the state of Florida for Congress. And go ahead and pick up where you left off before the break.
Yeah, so Brian, what I was saying, I was talking about the digital divide. And so we've already talked about, you said you were old school and you still could do brick and mortar. Well, you also went to school in brick and mortar. Well, since this pandemic, there are some students who have not gone back to school. There are also some families who cannot afford internet access for their children to get an education. And a lot of the children are delayed, but also, there are certain places you go now that won't accept cash and you have to scan it. So you need a phone to either scan or pay. So we are really in a digital age. And if you are having hard times and can't pay your cell phone or don't have connectivity, so we also need broadband because, a lot of people just simply can't afford to be relevant or to compete in today's market. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And, it reminds me I do my best sometimes to make sure that I do things the old school way just to remember how to do them. So in case like the internet or what have you goes down, I still remember and still know how to get the job done, what have you. And speaking of which, like, how can we get? I have to ask this question. I know it's an age-old question that gets asked all the time, but it's something that I think is very important. And the reason I say this, I'll say the reason why after I ask the question. How can we get more of our people, black people, to vote? And the reason I mainly ask that because, we had the election, the city of Orlando election a few years back. We had a sister running for mayor, Aretha Simons, and hardly any of our people came out to vote. And so how can we get more of our people not to feel disenfranchised and get them out to vote?
Well, first, I don't think we should throw out the baby with the bathwater. I think what has happened is too many times. Well, one, I think we need campaign finance reform. And as a result, we can't get really good candidates to make people want to go out and vote. What they're seeing is more of the same. And that's my frustration also. Right. You see more of the same. And it's hard to convince someone to leave their job, but they really need to be making a living wage to go and vote when we see too many times people have come into communities, made promises, and their circumstances haven't changed. So you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. What we have to do is ask, the parties to push for campaign finance reform so that we can have more candidates. This is a democracy, more candidates for people to be excited about so people can vote for the candidate of their choice, not the candidate who can afford to put up the money and run. It's $10,000 to run for Congress. And the average American doesn't have $10,000 discretionary dollars. Or you can get petitions. Now, I plan to qualify by petition, but also with the petitions, that's very difficult. It's not difficult. Nothing is too hard. Right. But I'm just saying that, you can either qualify by petition or you can pay the $10,000. And most of the candidates who win typically can afford to pay for commercials to get their message out. And that's typically what it is. It's a popularity contest nowadays because the average person doesn't understand civics. The average person doesn't understand how Congress impacts their daily life. The average person doesn't realize that Congress is responsible for Medicare or Social Security or
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That if you ask the average person who takes care of what in their state, they don't know. All they know is either the services are lacking or that the services are being met, but they don't necessarily understand which office handles what. And I think that's because of the lack of civics education.
Understood. Understood. And for someone that may be out of school, like for a long time, since you mentioned it, for a long time, what would you suggest on how can someone really get started learning that civic education?
So I encourage everyone, if each one would teach one, I believe, because I'm running for Congressional District 5, I believe if each person tell 5 people, look, we are going to go and vote on this day, or let's have a conversation regarding voting. Some people don't know where their polling places are. Some people may not be registered. Some people don't think it's important or don't understand that in order for the circumstances to change, we have to mobilize and organize to deliver a historic voter turnout to elect candidates at every level so that we are better positioned to pass legislation. We need to be able to pass legislation. And so what legislation is nothing but a set of laws. So we need people at every level who understand the needs of the people, someone who loves the people, because I am convinced you cannot serve the people if you don't love the people. And I can say without hesitation, that I am consistent. You can go back to my childhood, and I've always not only fought for the underdog, but I fought for liberty and justice for all. And so we ask children to say the Pledge of Allegiance every day, and we pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all. But we don't see that. We don't see liberty and justice for all.
Absolutely. And I got two important questions I really need. I'm glad I need to ask you now so I can give you the time to really delve into your answers or what have you. My main thing right now, since we're going through what they voter suppression, and all the voter suppression that's going on, please help me to understand if the 15th Amendment already gave me, regardless of our race, the right to vote, then why does the Civil Rights Act always have to keep getting amended to make sure that our votes are not impacted if we're already given a constitutional right to vote? Why does the vote of the people of color always seem up for debate every couple of years?
Well, we understand the Voting Rights Act, the 15th Amendment has been in place, yes, but remember, Black people were not considered human, so we didn't get the right to vote until 1965. So know that Amendment 15, it has been amended a number of times, and so we know that, the Voting Rights Act was just passed in 1965, but even with the Voting Rights Act being passed in 1965, it's been tested legally in the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, a number of times, and we also know that it's been renewed several times. And we have to make sure that we stay engaged and defy those those who are so cynical that they would work every day to suppress voters' rights. And so we have to stay engaged and hold the people who we elect accountable so that our issues and the things that are important to us is represented at every level. We must hold them accountable. And so I tell people all the time, stay engaged, call your member, know who your member is, whether that is your city council person or city commissioner, whether that's your state representative or whether it's your member of Congress. Stay engaged, hold them accountable. Your vote is your voice, and they represent you, not special interests or big donors.
You kind of answered one of my questions. I'm glad that you kind of answered one of my other questions I had going on. Coming later, but let me also go back to real quick, and I'll go back to that question as well. Please explain. I know why they're important, but maybe not a lot of other people may not know as well. But please explain why the midterm elections are probably more important than the presidential elections.
The reason why the midterm elections are so important is you understand that the president, like the governor and like your mayor, is the executive level. However, we have legislators, or we have the legislative branch. And so in order for that person who you elect in the executive to get something done, it has to pass both the House and the Senate at the federal level, which is what we call Congress, or the House or the Senate at the state legislature, or if you are at the local level, it has to pass your city council or your city commissioners. So that's why it is so very important to vote in the midterm elections, because if you don't have legislators who are working to get issues that are important to you passed, then that person you elect can't do anything. So it's so very important that you stay engaged and you vote in the midterm elections, because that's when 65% of the congressional seats are up. I think it's like 85% in the House and 65% in the Senate. We know in Florida, we have Val Demings, who is from Orlando, who's running against Marco Rubio in Senate. And we also have a number of House seats, but we also know that in particular in the minority community, we have a governor who is trying to suppress the vote, and who's trying to eliminate Congressional District 5, which is from Gadsden County in Tallahassee to Jacksonville, and also District 10, which is the seat currently held by Congresswoman Val Demings, and also District 20, which is a congressional seat that is now held by Congresswoman Sheila McCormick, Sheila Shirlifus McCormick. She actually had a special election and just replaced Alcee Hastings. So I may be pronouncing her last, she's a hyphenated last name, I may be pronouncing it wrong, but she's in District 20. So those are very vulnerable seats that are minority access districts, and people need representation, and more importantly, they need representation that looks like them and understand their plight.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned it that way, because I want to get to a very important point before I forget. Redistricting. I know we wanted to talk about, I wanted to talk to you about redistricting. I'm trying to pronounce it correctly. With that being said, how can we stop redistricting? Why is it so important that we stop it? It sounds, I know it sounds simple, but a lot of people don't understand. A lot of our people, particularly Black and brown people, don't understand how important this particular issue is and why it needs to be stopped. And if you can delve into that a little bit.
So what happens is we take a census every 10 years. And when you take a census, redistricting will always occur, but what you want is fair redistricting, right? You want it to be proportionate to the people in the area, right? So case in point, we call it gerrymandering when people draw lines to favor a certain person or a certain party. But if you live in a geographical area and it is 40%, African American, 11% Hispanic, and 6% Asian Pacific Islander, and then you have the remaining 38%, which is non-Hispanic white, then that is a minority district, right? And if that's a minority district, then you should have a minority to represent those people, those voice and their voice, right? And when we take the census every 10 years, you get a chance to see how many people are in a specific demographic or geographic location. Florida traditionally had 27 congressional seats. Well, as a result of the 2020 census, we earned another seat because so many people moved to Florida, and in particular in Orlando. So now there are 28 congressional districts. And so because of the census, and every 10 years we do the redistricting so that it can be proportionate, because if we did not update it, then we wouldn't have adequate representation. So it has to be updated. But what we don't want is gerrymandering based on race. We don't want gerrymandering to benefit of a specific person or a specific party. What we want is competitive seats. We want competitive seats. And so for that, but also we need special minority access districts, because there is no minority in America who would have a voice or would be able to be based upon the population in this country. So that's why we have special minority access districts, so that all persons can have a seat at the table and have their voices heard and be represented. So what we don't want is gerrymandering. More importantly, I think it's so very important for people to be engaged in redistricting. Every municipality has hearings. I have participated in the hearings. You can also submit at the federal level and the state level. In Florida, you have FloridaRedistricting.gov, where people can submit maps, and it's very interactive. So John Q. Public, voter ma'am and voter sir, you can go to those sites and be engaged and submit maps. You have lines drawn that are so skewed that my mother and I live in the same zip code, but she lives less than a mile from me, but she has a different representative. Yeah, she has a different representative. And so that's called gerrymandering. And so That's what I'm saying. So you have to be engaged and see how the lines are drawn, because once the lines are drawn and they are passed by the House and the Senate, then you're stuck with those lines for 10 years and you can't change it for another 10 years. So a congressional district comprises 749,000 people, right? So 749,000 people, deserve representation. And then we talk about a governor who is trying to eliminate 3 different districts. That's 2.1 million people who will not have a voice. So It's important to make sure that seats are competitive and that all people have a seat at the table and all people have a voice.
Wow. Thank you for explaining it that way, because I know I should have probably asked it a different way, but you corrected it for me. So I definitely appreciate that. With a lot, there's a lot being said, and I know with what you just stated, and I know a lot of educators, and I really wanted to mention this as well. I know a lot of funding can come through along with if things are done correctly, a lot of funding can come through. And what I probably may need to ask this, I want to ask this so you have your time ready for after the break, because we're about to go to break right now. How does this affect the education system when we, in terms of, because I know the school system gets paid per student a certain amount of money per student. So we want to go to break. I want you to come back with that, with your answer right after we go to break. So family, again, you're listening to Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM 102jams.com. Of course, download the WJHM 102jams.com app on your Apple or Android device, exactly how I just said it. We'll be right back with LJ Holloway after these messages, y'all. All right, stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back after these messages. All right, peace.
Homeowners, realtors, property managers, and real estate investors. If you're looking to make that house a home, from kitchen bath flooring, popcorn removal, drywall, and painting, True Pine Maintenance is your go-to company. Licensed and insured, they do commercial and residential. Upgrade your home or business today. With 25 years experience in the business, they can surely meet your needs. Give them a call at 407-723-3826. That's True Pine Maintenance, LIC.
The Type Video Show would like to thank one of our dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom Braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering, to trophies and awards. They can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373.
Okay, family, and again, we're back with Confessions with Brian T. Bethea on WJHM 102jams.com. Of course, we're back with my special guest, LaShonda L.J. Holloway. And just before the break, I had asked you, how can we get more funding for our districts and what have you for the education system? And I'm, if you can pick up on that.
So, Brian, I don't know if you recall that, at the beginning of our call, at the beginning of the show,
right.
We talked about the importance of people voting at every level. And so, yes, every municipality has a school board, and there are 67 counties in Florida. However, the way the money gets to the school board is, one, there is money at the Department of Education that is relegated to the states, right? And that money is relegated to the states, and the states, of course, divvy the money to the respective counties, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's how you get more money for school. And we see that schools and our children are becoming more politicized. We see that, we see it every day. You hear, school boards have been attacked, or you hear the governor is cutting the money, from students. Cutting the money, out of school systems, right? Mm-hmm. And we also see that there's a shortage of teachers, right? Because they don't pay teachers a fair wage. Students deserve fully staffed schools. They really do. And we know that when there's a small classroom size, that children can get the individual attention that they need, right? So we know, like right now, there's House Bill 1197, and we know that it will only make the teacher and staff shortage worse. So we know that, We need to make sure that citizens are engaged at every level. They need to vote and turn out for every election for all candidates. Do your research so that we can be in better positions. I mean, our children deserve that. I mean, it hurts me, that so many teachers are leaving the profession, but they're leaving the profession because it's becoming so politicized, and also the working conditions are becoming unbearable. And so we have good teachers leaving the system, right? And we also have we also have large class sizes. So we definitely need to make sure that we are reaching out not just to our school board, but reaching out to our members of Congress and saying, hey, we need more funding for education. We need more funding, to make sure that our students' needs are met. Think about it. I mean, we've been in a pandemic for 2 years. And so for 2 years, you've had students who have not necessarily had the type of instruction that they need. So our children are behind. We need smaller classroom sizes so they can get the kind of attention that they need. Teachers need to have academic freedom to be able to teach, to teach their students as opposed to teaching to a test.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yes. And for those of y'all that are not, that don't live in Florida, pretty much the education system, the teachers have to basically teach towards the FSA, which is the standardized test a lot of the public school students have to take in order to move on to the next grade or what have you. I think they need to do away with that that type of standardized testing and let the teachers be able to just, grade the, teach and grade the students on a pass-fail basis. Because I took I asked I don't want to say a poll, but I asked a question to the audience at my open mic that I host one year, and if they felt adequate, they were taught adequately or what have you, if they were from Florida, and all of them said absolutely not. They were not ready for the real world. So I would believe, I believe education, a reform to the education system is very much needed as possible.
I just wish that legislators would just simply listen to teachers. I mean, educators are with our children every day. They shape and mold our children. And you don't go into the education profession because you want to get rich. You go for the love of learning or for the love of students, right? Or that you have a special gift to convey information. But if people can't survive, then it's hard. So we definitely need to continue to ask people to, engage with teachers, engage with legislators, and encourage legislators to listen to educators, because it's just important that, we offer solutions to problems so that we can retain good teachers, so that we can have smaller classroom sizes, and so teachers can have academic freedom. Because look, who knew that we would be in a pandemic and, students would be, either at home or not learning fully because either teachers are out sick with COVID or, whatever the case may be, right. Or students are out with COVID, or they have to take time out to go back home to quarantine. Whatever the case may be, our students are behind. They've had this for years.
Absolutely. And completely agree with you. I have a lot of friends in the education system, and they are stressed beyond belief, especially with COVID going on. And like you said, a lot of teachers being out because of COVID, students being out because of COVID or what have you. It's a lot going on. And so, real quick, let me just ask you this question: for the person that says that they don't feel like their vote counts or what have you, how would you go about? What would you say to change their mind?
So what I would say to someone who don't believe their vote count, I would say to them that, one, the minimum wage is going to be set whether you participate or not. I would say to them that, look, if you work every day and pay into Social Security, you're going to pay into Social Security whether you vote or not. I would say to them that, health is wealth, and I hope that most people remain healthy, but in the event you get sick, you will want to have health care. And you also need a roof over your head that's affordable housing. So for all those reasons, look, you have to I mean, you have to vote so that your voice will be heard because a decision is going to be made. So if a decision is going to be made, you might as well participate in the process and let your voice be heard. And your vote is your voice.
Absolutely. So, family, you heard it. Your vote is your voice. And also, of course, remember to stay vigilant. I think one thing that we fail to realize, me personally, is that once we elect someone to like the national office or what have you, like president, I think for some reason we have this thing where it's just like, okay, we voted you in, now go do the work. And then we forget to do the work ourselves. So I definitely want to say, do as this young lady has said, to please stay active, call or send letters, fax if you have to fax, email your Congress people, let them know what you want and what is needed, and what have you, because I know that's what is going to help make change. And of course, before we go to break, definitely make sure, especially if you live in Duval. So listen, if you live in Duval, definitely vote LJ Holloway. So listen, what we want to do is we got to go to break. We're going to come back to close out the show. She's going to let you know where you can vote for her or how you can help with her campaign. All right, family. So stay tuned with Confessions with Brian T. Bethea. We'll be right back after these messages. Peace.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
All you dolls out there, this is me, Sizzle. 2019 flew by and my friend still did not have the body she wanted. Then I discovered the solution. The cosmetic surgery place. Yes, cosmetic surgery. Don't spend another minute miserable. Call 407-636-5000. She did. Now my friend is all of that and then some.
Be one of the next 7 callers to receive your breast surgery. Free with a tummy tuck. Yes, free. Call now at 407-636-5000.
All right, fam, and again, we're back with Confessions with Brian T. Bethea. We definitely want to close out the show, say thank you to my very special guest, LaShonda L.J. Holloway. And, of course, we go ahead and let people know where they can find you and how can they help support your campaign.
Yes, so Brian, you said Duval. You got to say it right if you're going to say it. So I, of course, am from Duval, but also I want you to know that the district spans 8 counties. This district is 250 miles, and that includes all of Baker County, all of Gadsden County, Hamilton County, and Madison County, and portions of Columbia County, Jefferson County, Duval County, and Leon. It is a majority district, but people can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They can also find me on the web at LJ Holloway for Congress. $ LJ for Congress. So it's the same handle, $ LJ for Congress, or LJ the number 4 Congress, or LJ the number 4 Congress on LJ the number 4 Congress on Instagram, or LJ the number 4 Congress on Twitter. They can find me on all of social media platforms, but more importantly, we need people to invest in this campaign. We want this people power campaign to be powered by people, not by special interests or donors. I want to be beholden to the people. And so all I'm asking for the people to give me $5 for Congressional District 5. Donate $5 today. Make that donation a recurring donation. Give $5 to Congressional District 5. And remember, Congress is national. So while I may be representing the people in those 8 counties that I just named, I will be representing people all around the country because Congress is a national role. So don't be shy. Can spare $5 for change. Instead of that cup of coffee at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, look, Miss a cup of coffee to invest in change. I am committed to the people. I'm consistent, and my track record says that. $5 for Congressional District 5. So look, that's the thing. Give me 5 for Congressional District 5, but more importantly, vote LJ Holloway for a better day.
All right, we appreciate it. And again, of course, you can find me on Facebook at Confessions with Brian T. Bethea, and of course on YouTube, Brian Bethea, and of course on Instagram and Twitter, The Phoenix 516 on both Instagram and Twitter. And of course, family, in case you wanted to inbox me about becoming an advertiser, definitely inbox me on any of those social media websites. All right, family, it's been real. We'll holler at y'all next time, family. All right, y'all be safe out there. Peace.
Are you frustrated with your computer?